Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Learning Sound and Synthesis Spotlight Series interview, in which I interview the amazing people from my Modular Synth class, Learning Sound and Synthesis, or LSS for short, and we discuss their biggest lessons and breakthroughs and discoveries in their process of learning how to make music with modular synths. So I'm here today with George. Hi, George. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm really excited for this discussion. But can we start off just with a little introduction to who you are, what kind of music you love?
Okay. My name is George Carr. I'm a retired network guy, corporate network engineer. And I spent most of my life enjoying rock and roll and blues music, but also enjoy all kinds of music in general, pretty much anything. Got interested in synthesizers back in the 70s when bands started using them. And I've owned a few over the years, but never did much with them besides just play around and make noises. Um, and
Yeah.
so
Cool. I think that's a story a lot of people can relate to, probably.
I'm retired now. Did I say that? I'm retired.
I'm not, yeah, I think you might have. I'm not sure. So now you have more time to explore your music making
Yeah, I decided about 10
endeavors.
years ago that once I retire, I'll finally get serious about music. So that's what I'm attempting to do.
So was that, I'm just curious. I always like to ask people kind of what was going on when they decided to enroll in learning sound and synthesis. Was that one of your motivators? Was you just kind of wanted to like get serious about this?
Yeah,
Or
I
was
had
there
at the
something
time
else?
I had a Korg MS 2000R, which is a non-modular synthesis. It's you can flip a lot of switches and knobs and stuff. And I'd recently been given a Neutron, which is a semi-modular. And I really hadn't, other than the presets and the Korg, I never really got far beyond those. And the Neutron I started to play with, but it's got a patch panel, and I really didn't
Yeah.
know how to do much with it. I watched some YouTube videos and stuff, and then I saw one of your ads, I think on Facebook, um, about a class you know in modular, and I thought, wow, maybe I should check that out. So I took your free class,
Hmm.
and that got me into that introduced me to VCV Rack, which was like, oh wow, I can do all kinds of stuff here without spending any more money. And so
Yeah.
that was a big light for me. Um, so yeah, so then I signed up after I went through that, and then I said, yeah, this class looks like it might be
Yeah.
fun. So
Well, I'm glad you found my class. I'm glad you found your way into the LSS community. I've been, I've been watching everything that you've been doing. That sounds a little strange. I have not been watching everything you're doing, but I've been watching all of your growth in this class over the last even just few months and the progress that you've been making. And you've been doing some really amazing things. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. I don't want to spill the beans on what we're going to be talking about, but some of those things may include some really cool live performances within the LSS community. Can you talk a little bit about what you feel your biggest accomplishments have been over the last few months in the world of making music with synths?
well, yeah, I'll preface that by saying that I went into the class wanting to learn more about modules and how they, I had a basic understanding of oscillators, envelopes, and output, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but there's all these other kinds of modules. And I think I learned something about how to do other things, how to use sequencers, things like that. And I did learn a lot of stuff like that from the class, but there was so much more that I got out of the class in terms of just about creating music in general, and how to it changed the way I feel about myself, the way I feel about my music, my own creativity, and just so much. And a lot of that is you, Sarah, believe me. But a lot of it is the community as well. And one of the greatest things of this class was, I'll probably tear up here, um, is becoming part of that community. Very supportive community. And one of the things that's allowed me to do, particularly in the past month or so, more than ever before, was to reach out and make connections, not just online, but with real people. I think I mentioned the other day in another meeting that I've been going to this composers breakfast club in Malibu. I live in Southern California. That's just a bunch of musicians and producers and recording engineers and just people involved in music that get together on Monday mornings, and they bring people in. Some of them are members of the club, some of them are just people they know, because these people, there's all kinds of people. And it's like the best 2 hours of live music you can find for $10 anywhere, because it's $10 for coffee. If
Yeah,
you're only going to have coffee, tea, it's $30 for breakfast. But if you're only going to have coffee, tea, and juice, it's like $10, and you get 2 hours of live music. Plus, you get to sit around and chat with all these people. It's a
sounds
very
awesome.
it's a very intimate little small space with a bunch of couches and some high tables to sit at. And I've met a lot of people and just talked to people about music, about all kinds of things. Um, and the other thing I did recently was join a synth club. I've only been to one meeting, but like just immediately on showing up, I talked to the organizer of the meeting. He hooks me up with their Discord, sends me an invite for their Discord. So, they meet once a month. It's about an hour drive for me, but it's worth it. I'm definitely going to go
Amazing.
back. So I have to come up with my rack there behind me. I have to make something mobile out of that, or at least
Cool.
come up with something that I can take. Because it's just that, they have a big room, and everybody brings their
Mhm.
modular stuff, and they set it up and just start making sound. And people play other people's instruments, and just talk about uh, synthesizers and music in general. It's a really neat group of people. So
It sounds amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the live performance that you did, the open mic in LSS?
yeah, I was playing with some new modules that I'd bought, and uh, just trying to come up with something, that some music that I liked, or some sounds that I liked. And I'd come up with something that was like the beginning of something that I might think about recording or doing something with. And then I went, like I do periodically. I went into the forum, the LSS forum, and I saw the posting, or Raina's posting, about the upcoming
Mhm.
open mic. And just kind of on it's like you would think of like an impulse purchase. I'm like, okay, I got something I like here, so let me sign up. So I just
Mhm.
signed up like right away. And several times, because it was weeks and weeks away, um, several times after that, I thought about, gee, should I go in and cancel that or whatever? But I didn't. And I never recorded the piece. I just kept working on it and working on it, and I figured, okay, I'm just going to leave this patch like this, and I'm just going to keep playing with it, tweaking it. And so that's what I kept doing. And then when it came time to play it, I actually did, and I really enjoyed it. I was very nervous before it started, but once I started playing, and realized there were actually people listening to me. It was really a fun experience. It
Yeah,
was
it was
great.
awesome, and it sounded so great. I remember that moment very clearly. It was a beautiful performance.
Oh,
Definitely something to
thank
be
you.
proud of. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
this is amazing to hear a little bit about, a little more detail about everything that you've been doing. The live performance, reaching out and connecting more, not only within the learning sound and synthesis community, but within your community in general, going to these breakfast club meetups, joining this synth club. This is all incredible. And I'm just curious if you can help break it down a little bit for the people who are watching. What do you think was the key factor or the key thing that helped you do all of this? Did you just like decide one day, I'm going to do it? Or was there some mindset shifting or, you know,
Kind of and kind of. Well, yeah, there was like a day like that, but it's not, or multiple days like that. I'm a firm believer in an axiom that life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. I mean, that's how I wound up moving from Chicago to California, just because I retired.
mhm,
I mean, it's partially because my wife's from California, but still, that was a big move for us. We raised two kids and lived in the same house for 26 years, and we retired, and we're like, yeah, let's move to California. So we did. Um, and so when opportunities come up, and this is something you talk about often, or you did in the class, and I already felt that way a little bit, but your encouragement helped. It's like, when you think about doing something and you're scared to do it, it's like that's something you should probably do, because
uh-huh,
because you're nervous because it's new. Every uh, uncertainty and stuff is always scary, or can be. But if
right.
it's something you're interested in, sometimes you have to go through that and do it anyway. And that's what was true with the live performance, because I knew that wasn't something I would just normally volunteer to do, but I was just in a space where I should do this because it'll be a step forward. And the same's true with I drove an hour to this place. I had no idea where it is. It's at the synth club meets in a brewery, uh, a local brewery in a back garage of theirs. And I had no idea what I'd be walking into, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to walk in and say hi. This is me, and it was great. And the same with the other things that I've done. So um, it's just. But to get back to your question, I played guitar since I was like 12 or 13. And but I never really dedicated hours and hours and hours um, to becoming really good at it.
Mhm.
So, and always playing covers of other people's songs. It's like I knew a lot of other guitarists that were much better than I would, and they played in more successful bands than I did. I played in a couple garage bands, but um, and then you know, fast forward to learning sound and synthesis, and I'm playing some music from one of the lessons, or I don't remember exactly the situation. But what struck me is all of a sudden I was creating some music that I actually liked, which is not something I had done very much before, particularly not something that I had created from scratch. That was like, wow, like this is really neat. I would actually listen to this, even if it wasn't, you know, if I didn't create it. If I heard this somewhere, I would stick on that station on the radio or whatever. And that was like a I don't know, call it a light bulb, but it was just a like a uh,
Yeah.
changing moment. It was like, wow, I can actually create something that I like, and that made a big difference to me. So if I can do this once, maybe I can do this again, and maybe someone else will like it also. So
I
that
love
kind
that.
of got me to the point where I could take a few more steps forward, and
Yeah. That's
and go
amazing.
out and try to meet. I mean, I actually did something very strange the other day at the breakfast club because somebody I was standing there talking to a guy named John, and somebody asked introduced themselves to us, and the guy said, "Yeah, my name's John, and this is George," and he asked where Ringo was. Um,
Of course.
but anyway, and John introduced himself as a producer and an actor, I think. Anyway, and I actually said, "Well, I'm a musician, an amateur musician." And I don't think I had ever publicly introduced myself as a musician in my entire life. So,
Mhm. That's awesome. How did it feel?
it was interesting. I I'd never done it before because I didn't think it was legitimate, and I
Mhm.
felt like it was legitimate.
That's amazing. It is
One of the
legitimate.
One of the other things I actually did after the class, I was already playing with a group of people here, playing guitar with a group. I live in a community of about 180 houses right near the beach. And there were four of us that got together and started playing music on Tuesdays. We call ourselves the Tuesday Night Music Group. Um, and um, we got asked to play at a community event just because people heard us practicing and stuff. And we were all like, do we want to do this? And it was kind of split 50-50. Like two of us said yes, and two of us were leaning towards no. And I was one of the ones leaning towards no. But because of things that were going on in this class and how I was feeling, I changed. And I had a discussion with our bass player, and I changed my mind. And so it wound up being 3-1. So we wound up playing the gig. And it was another thing that was just a lot of fun. I mean,
It's
because
amazing.
we knew all the people in the crowd because they all live in this community, and we had people up dancing. It was just a big, exciting
It's
experience.
incredible. And I mean, good for you and huge congrats. Like,
Thanks.
it's I want to just echo some of the things that you said when I asked you, what was the driving force? What was the thing that you felt was a key factor in allowing you to make all of this progress? Of course, it's important to give you credit for showing up and doing the work because that's how it all happens. As you showed up, you went through the class, you probably did lots of other studying on your own. You sat down, frequently with your instrument and like did the thing, put in the reps, made the patches, listened, explored. But one of the things you said that really struck me that I just want to make sure other people are hearing is you really embraced this idea that what you said, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
And when you're feeling like you want to do something, excited by an idea, curious about a direction, and you're feeling nervous, you take that, and this is something I also do very much in my own life, you take that as a sign to go for it and like do the thing. Those nerves are like a beacon that that's something you should probably be doing. And now, of course, we're not
Hmm.
talking about like life threatening nervousness or, anything like that. That's not what we're talking about,
Not such a
but
base
it's like,
jumping isn't something I'm going to
no,
do. Yeah.
we're not. But, if you're like, should I release this track? Should I do this performance? Should I do this collaboration? And you get this whole mixture of feelings that could maybe be nerves, maybe be excitement, probably a combination of both. It's like, yeah, do the thing. You know what I mean? See what happens. And I'm so happy that you've done that because it's opened up so many things for you.
Yeah. When I first signed up for this interview, or applied, you know, answered your call for people, I think in the questions I answered, I said I had a SoundCloud account, but I only had one public because I
Uh-huh.
I was posting stuff up there so I could post it in the forum, the exercises and things that you ask people to put up there for evaluation and
Mhm.
so forth. And I'd put one public thing out there. Well, now I think I have 8 or 9 um, out there, and I recently because, I mean, my wife knows I play guitar and she knows I have synthesizers, but she doesn't listen to my music much. And my kids, they heard me practicing guitar while they grew up, but that's about it. And so I sent everybody in my family a link to my SoundCloud account, which is
Mhm.
something I'd never done before. And I'm like, here it is. This is what I'm doing in my retirement. Listen to it or don't, you know, but this is what I'm just letting you know what dad's doing.
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I sent one to my sister as well, and no one's really responded. I think my son told me he's listened to a couple.
Mhm.
Um, my wife's told me that synthesizers aren't really her thing. She's more of a folk music aficionado.
Mhm.
Um, but my older sister tells me that she set it up so she could listen to it as she works around the house. She's got it like just continuously listening to my music in her house. So that was kind
I
of
love it.
surprising, but that was neat to like, oh wow, somebody else does like this.
Of course. Of course. And you know what? The lesson in this is you never know. You never know who's going to resonate and vibe with your music and who's going to be grateful that you shared it with them, right? But by not sharing it, you're never going to possibly connect with another person through your music. You might as well share it, Nothing
Right.
is for everyone, but I
Right.
guarantee that if you're making music from a place of following what you love, following your curiosities, making something that is just exciting to you, I guarantee that there will be people who will hear it and go, "I love this. This is for me. I wanna put this on in my house while I'm doing my dishes," or whatever it is. And speaking of George's music, I'm gonna drop a link to your SoundCloud in the chat for people
Okay.
so that you can go and check it out and dance around while you're doing your dishes or whatever it is you might want to be doing. So there you go. That's in the comments. I also want to bring this up on the screen. Thank you, Chris, for tuning in. Life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. Yes, yes, yes. People are resonating with that for sure. So, okay, George, what are you up to now? Like what now that you've gone through the class, obviously you're still very involved in the community, which is great, and you're welcome to continue being involved for as long as you'd like. But what's up in your world now? Anything in the works?
Um, Trying to come up with some portable
Mm-hmm.
synthesis thing to take to the club. I do have something set up on an iPad, and I just bought a USB connector. I have a little orange amp
Mm-hmm.
back there. I'm going to try to hook that up, but I also want to come up with some module stuff that I can move. Um, I'm just, one of the ideas I had for a larger piece involved like these 7 elements, and I've been I didn't really set out
Right.
to do each one of them, but I've worked on some pieces, and I'm like, gee, that would fit like as this. So I've
Mm-hmm.
got about 3 or 4 of those done. I'm working on one of them now. Um, and so I don't know um, where it'll go exactly. I still have this really large, like, bucket list project
Uh-huh.
about, eh, well, I'm not to the point yet where I want to say what it's about, but
All right. That's fine. Don't worry about it.
it would be a big project, and it's, you talked about one time about having an idea to do something recently. I heard you say at the time you came up with the idea, you didn't have the skills to create that idea, to carry
Yeah.
out that idea. That's kind of where I am with this idea. There's a lot of things I need to learn and figure out. I mean, I have, conceptually what the sonic environment would be like, but I have no idea how to create it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get some ideas, but it's something I have to
Okay.
work toward.
Well, I'm excited to
But I'm
see when.
continuing to work toward that goal.
Yes,
So,
good. That was the one thing I was gonna say is that feeling of this is pretty common, and I just wanna say to not only for you, George, but other people watching, it's common that you might have an idea that feels bigger than your capacity at the moment. Like, "Oh, I love this idea, but I don't know how to do X," or "I've never done Y." And the one thing I just wanna offer everyone is to make sure that you don't let that prevent you from getting started. um, you don't make sure you don't wait until you have all the pieces in place before you get started on the project. That can be what our logical brains tell us to do. Oh, well, I've got to learn this and do this and get that and be that first, then I can work on it. The trouble with that, or the trap that that can put us into accidentally, is that we might never get started. We might spend a decade or longer trying to put the pieces together and not actually starting the project that fueled it all in the first place. And what I've found from my own personal experience is that if you start taking steps toward it, even when you don't have all of the pieces figured out yet, even when you know there's a lot you need to learn, you're going to have the momentum of working on the thing that you're so excited, that bucket list project. Like, you're going to have that momentum of like, yeah, I'm doing the dream project right now. That's going to be what's going to keep fueling you to show up every day, to learn the new things, and and to keep going. Right? Does that make sense? And you'll be like,
mhm.
you know what? I want to learn this whole new software now because I know it's the missing piece. I'm already 20% into my project. If I learn this little piece, then I'll be able to take my next step. So it's almost like a video game where you're like unlocking new levels. But if you wait until you're like a master at it, you might be waiting a long time. So I would encourage you to just jump in, start anyway, and it will all come together as you go, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
it's
excited.
kind of the
I'm
way
excited.
things work. Yeah,
It is the way things work.
that's the way every piece that I do start. I just start out. I usually have an idea for a patch. Like, gee, what if I did this? If I patched this through here and then went back over here and did
Yeah.
something with that, and I'll do that, and then see what that does. And I'll start tweaking things, and I was like, okay, and I just start tuning things until I get something and sometimes it goes nowhere, but and I just start with a different idea. But
Yeah,
um, yeah,
exactly.
everything that I've actually created, that I've recorded and released, has been, or posted, I should say,
Yeah.
um, has been stuff that it just started out as, well, what if I try this?
What if? It's such a
Hit a
good
key,
place to
hit a
start.
key, and see what sound does it make? Yeah.
Yeah. So for people watching, if you're feeling a little like maybe you're feeling stuck, you haven't made something in a while, that's a really good place to start. Just start with the question, what if? What if I do this? What if I try this? And just see where it leads you. You might be surprised. Also, for people who are watching, if this conversation in general is resonating with you, if you're a person who wants to learn modular synthesizers, get really great at sound design, learn how to make music with synths and other electronic instruments, I would love to invite you to check out my class, Learning Sound and Synthesis. That's what we've been talking about. And I'm going to leave a link in the chat or in the comments to join the waitlist. Learning Sound and Synthesis is my online modular synthesis and sound design class, and I run it 2 times a year. And it is a very, very comprehensive program that's going to teach you everything that you need to know in order to design your own sounds from scratch and make music with modular synths. And as George was talking, the class is not just about the technical how-to of synthesis, although we definitely do go there and we cover that. But a very big part of this class is also about the making music side of things and the building of your creative identities and your musical voice. So you'll learn how it works and how all the modules work and how to plug things in. And that's just the beginning. And then we get into, now what? How do I make music with this? How do I express myself with these instruments? What do I want to say? How do I perform with them? How do I collaborate? And a whole lot more. So if you're interested, you can go to Learning Sound. That's not the link at all. You can go to soundandsynthesis.com. You can join the waitlist. The next round opens in early 2024. And joining the waitlist just means that you're going to be the first notified when the doors open. And you'll also get access to my live performance with Modular Synths masterclass for free when you enroll in LSS from the waitlist. And if you have questions about the class, if it's the right fit for you or what exactly is involved, send me a message anytime. I'm happy to talk. And yeah, I think that's it for that section of things. So I want to move back over to you, George. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to offer to people watching? Could be, piece of advice or anything else that's on your mind.
I don't know. For me, I can't say enough about the LSS community. I mean, it's just, anytime I run out of things to do or run out of ideas, or just because I haven't been in there for 2 days, I log into the forum and just start reading stuff, listening to people's music. It's always gets me back in a frame of mind that I would rather be in than wherever I was. So that's a big part of the class, or the investment in the class and the time that continues. I mean, it's until whenever.
Yeah, the community is something I cherish. I say that it's one of the best little corners on the internet, and I really do mean it. It's a very special group of people who come from all different backgrounds, have all different kinds of goals. Some are professional musicians, some are, astrophysicists or whatever, accountants, like all kinds of people. The core thing, the unifying thing, is that everyone there wants to learn and is passionate and curious about making music. And it's such a huge part of all of this, right? Being able to share your ideas with other people, get inspiration from other people, see what other people are thinking about and working on. So I'm really glad, George, that not only that you find the community inspiring, but I'm really sincerely glad that you're part of it, because you contribute a lot to it. So thank you for being part of it. All right. I think with that, we're done for today. So I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in live. Thank you for watching. And thank you so much, George, for joining and sharing your story and reminding us to take a few more risks and live a little outside of our comfort zone. It's a really good reminder.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.